After so long, after watching what after the finale became my favorite show of all time, I finally am uploading the video talking about the Attack on Titan finale. I believe it's the last 4 chapters, maybe 3 chapters, regardless. Whatever that last hour and a half episode was, and man, was it a roller coaster of emotions. I'm going to talk about it today, and of course, this is going to be a spoiler review. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Kyle. I'm your guy with too many YouTube channels. Let's talk about Attack on Titan. So, the episode starts off with the scouts landing on Eren's ribcage, and they have this whole thing where they take down the Beast Titan, and they realize it's just a shell, and they have this, like, amazing scene of fighting a bunch of Titans. But what was really cool about it is I was speculating for so long, and I expected to hear a conversation between Armin and Eren, which we didn't get to hear because the episode before this, it actually ended up with, I don't remember exactly what Armin said to him, but he landed and he's like, Eren, I got something to say, and you are going to answer me. What do you mean when you say that you're free? And it just showed, and I didn't really expect to know, like maybe Eren would communicate with him through the paths. I don't know. Regardless, it just started out as like this big, giant, epic fight scene. And I don't have too much to say about all of the fight scenes because at the end of the day, they're taking down some Titans here and there, right? But there's a lot we have to talk about with this entire episode. So before Armin has a chance to transform into the Colossal Titan, he ends up captured in a Titan's mouth. And I actually don't remember what the animal was called. Regardless, it was pretty gross because it stuck something into Armin's mouth, and it was really weird to see. And then I was like, oh my god, Armin, he's gone. And I didn't know, because this show has been so brutal, right? I wasn't sure if Armin was actually going to make it through, but thankfully he did. But while we take a pause on Armin because he's kind of like taken out of the episode for a little while, we just see a bunch of white Titans summoned by Ymir, and everybody just starts having these amazing fight scenes. But after some fighting, after it looks like everybody was going to lose, Mikasa is saved by Gabi and Falco, and Falco obviously turned into the flying Jaw Titan, the first Titan that could fly. It's funny looking back on this how many things have actually been foreshadowed to us, and Falco being a falcon is literally like one of the, that's barely scratching the surface. Maybe we should have seen that coming a little bit. Regardless, when I was watching this scene too, and it was like so cool because everybody was like running out of energy, everybody was hurt, and when I was watching this scene, I was like, huh? Because I thought when Mikasa, when she was saying something like, I can take all of you on, I'm better than you, and then Falco spread his wings behind her, right? I thought Mikasa grew wings. And I was like, what is going on with this show? That's what I was thinking about it. So I wouldn't have felt really good about that, to see Mikasa all of the sudden grow some wings, but she ended up just getting saved, right? But after that, we are brought back to Armin in what is one of the greatest, probably, voice acting performances I've ever seen. And for note, I've watched the dub version of this. Armin is so mad at himself because he's in, I don't know if he was in the paths at this point, but regardless, he's watching his own body, and he was really not feeling himself because he's like, Eren, after all of this, after all we've been through, you're actually just going to suffocate me. And that was really hard. But then Armin starts getting really mad at himself, and that, like I said, was one of the greatest voice acting performances I've ever seen, where he's like, you piece of shit, human garbage, I've hated you, and I always have. And then he was just like, man, he let everything out. I rarely sit back and am kind of wowed by something like that, but oh man, I want to say Armin yelling at himself, at his own body, talking about how much he hates himself, is one of the, I think one of the most times where, I don't know how to describe it, where I was feeling something, watching something. I was just completely captured and watching. Like, I was like, oh my god. I was feeling every little bit of what he was feeling, which says a lot about the show. It was fantastic. So Armin letting out all of his emotions, how he's upset that he's not dead, how he doesn't deserve this, and how he hasn't, into Armin's own thoughts, he kind of thinks like, oh my god, I haven't done anything with my life. I don't deserve to be here. I should have died, that kind of thing, right? But of course, Armin did more for anybody than pretty much anybody in the show, right? Eren made a big difference, but Armin's right up there for making a difference, right? But he's also, like I said, upset about being suffocated, but then he's brought back to the past, and he finds Zeke. And Zeke, it seemed like he was there for what seemed to be an eternity. We don't really know. But he has a really, really cool life conversation with Zeke about, because Zeke was all the opinion like, oh, you know, what can you do? The euthanization plan works. Everybody's dying. What's the point of life? But then Armin shows him. And what's really cool what they did that is, oh crap, it's escaping me at the moment whatever Armin had. I believe it was a leaf, but then whatever Armin had turned into a baseball. And Zeke realized that even though life may be meaningless, I could have thrown this ball around. And if I was reincarnated again, I would love to just play catch one more time, which was really, really cool. So Zeke and Armin have this really in-depth conversation, and Zeke is kind of brought back to life a little bit, which is really, really fun, because then Zeke, with his, I guess his power, I don't know if it was necessarily like how this worked, but after their conversation, all of the fallen people, or all the fallen Eldians come back, all of the fallen Titans, they come back and they are ready to help. And I was sitting back and watching this like, oh my god, are we about to have like a really cool Avengers Endgame moment? But they do. They all come in, and Bertolt, out of all people, come in and save the day. And I really like that, because his mind, while it wasn't excusable what he did, right? His mind was always like, you guys are my friends, you guys are my comrades. And it was just so cool to see him, of all people, kind of come and have his little moment and save the day. I really, really liked that. But in the midst of all that chaos, Levi's looking for Zeke, of course. And I love what they did with Levi here, by the way. I love what he did, because he's at this crossroad at this point in his life where he's like, do I help? Has my mission been completed? Do I leave this up to the next generation? But of course, I love that he got to finish his mission, because out of everything, out of all the Titans there, out of everywhere that Zeke could appear after on this giant monstrosity that is Eren, Levi is looking for Zeke, and he's like, how am I supposed to do this? How am I supposed to do this? But then, all of a sudden, as Levi's looking for him, on the top of the Titan, on the top of a piece of Titan, Zeke shows up, and he's like, Levi! Levi! It's crazy to me. And then Levi's like, what the hell? And Levi's left, like, showing, I can't remember, was it the sunset, the sky, something he was all really, really hyped up about. And Zeke was like, wow, life really is beautiful. And after his conversation with Eren, after his time in the past, he was looking at life in a whole brand new manner. But as he's doing this, it's just Levi slices his head with zero hesitance. Zero. Just goes. Levi completes his mission. Zeke is happy to be reincarnated. Zeke is happy to move on. I thought that was a beautiful ending for Zeke, and a beautiful ending to Levi's mission. I loved the way they handled that. Levi was broken. He didn't have much fight left in him, but he muscled it all up to finally be able to finish off Zeke, which was absolutely, absolutely insane, right? But in that, so while they were looking for Zeke, another part of the team was also looking for the, I guess, would you call it a Titan? I don't really know, but whatever was looking for, they were looking for Armin, because Armin was obviously captured and he's inside a Titan's mouth. And you know what's funny? Throughout the introduction to Season 4 and the introduction to Gabby and Falco, I really, really didn't like Gabby at first. But I think that's because I wasn't necessarily interested, but I knew in the back of my head that it was really important to have this whole introduction and all the scenes with Gabby. But I found myself bored at that moment. Not bored, but like, okay, what's Eren and the gang up to, right? That's kind of how I felt. And I would imagine people felt the same. And I was like real mad at Gabby throughout the entire thing for killing Sasha. But part of me also understood her, what she was all about, right? But in reality, it was all completely beautiful writing, right? So anyways, they're all looking for the Titan that ended up capturing Armin. There's everything there, and then one of them, I believe it was Mikasa that spotted it. Regardless, they were all looking for it. They found it, and what I really, really liked is they go in to chase this thing. It's running away. Armin gets rescued by Gabby making a shot. I loved that. Everybody had their moment here. Everybody, and it's like there's so much that I couldn't touch on throughout all these fight scenes, because what am I going to say? Like, oh, well, this Titan fought this white Titan, you know? But Gabby had her moment, made the shot on the thing, and then Mikasa sliced her open, saved Armin, rescued him. I absolutely love that moment, and that's the moment where I was really sitting there, because throughout the season, I was kind of like, I ended up being neutral to Gabby, where it's like, okay, well, I didn't like this character, but I understand that she's necessary, and I understand this is fantastic writing and fantastic character development, but I got hyped when Gabby made that shot. So I'm all of a sudden on Gabby's side, man. I really, really like her character, excuse me. But then Armin is now rescued. Armin uses the power of the Colossal Titan to destroy the Founding Titan. And this releases that, I don't know what to call it, right? Like the centipede-like organism, which is the source of all Titan power and the source of life of the Titans. I don't know if it's life. It's a little bit confusing with that. But you know what's funny is I didn't recognize that thing. And I didn't know we saw it before. I didn't, because looking back, and I've watched so many video essays, man, because Attack on Titan, like I said, it became my favorite show of all time. I didn't notice that when Eren got his head shot off by Gabby, that's the thing that brought him together. Would you call it Ymir? No, it's not Ymir. It's just the life of all Titans, right? It's the source of their power. I didn't know we saw that point being. So it was a surprise to me when that thing came out, because I was like, what is all that? What is this thing over here? And then obviously, like, I was just so caught up in the episode that I was like, okay, it's here, right? And it was just like a brand new big boss. So after that, they all think that Eren has been rescued. So Falco flies down, everybody reunites. We have this like awesome and amazing moment. Reiner along with Annie and Peak, and that they end up like going right back into fight mode right away. They fight off all the Titans that are there. Everybody gets turned into a Titan, and they try to get that life form to stop it from getting back to Eren. And Reiner had his real great moment here. He's like, I'm paraphrasing here because I don't remember exactly what he said. He's like, I don't know what you are, but I'm not letting you pass me, right? And then he got it, and then Annie and Peak all came together. The Titans were there, and it was really heart-wrenching because, of course, like, Reiner has just been put through the ringer in this show, right? We are then brought to another scene with Eren. Eren transforms into his own Founding Titan, and then everybody's like, well, of course, if that thing survived, it only makes sense that Eren survived as well, right? Eren comes into the attack Titan. He gets ready to have a battle with Armin. They start going at it. Armin says something along the lines of, you love making everybody go through hell, don't you? So Armin was going to bring it right back to them. There's chaos everywhere. Everybody turned into a Titan. Reiner's mom is a Titan. Everything is like at its absolute height here. And like, I was feeling it, man, in my heart. Like, this is the big climactic moment. I'll say this right now, guys. I do not get how everybody is so upset about the Attack on Titan finale, because I thought it was phenomenal. So here is the part where it gets the most emotional. Is Levi looks at Mikasa and says it's only them left. She breaks down, says it's too much. She can't take it anymore. She wants to go home. Levi's fighting. Mikasa's having her mental breakdown. And if Mikasa's having her mental breakdown, it must be tearing on her, because she has had so many badass moments throughout the entire show. Eren then shows her a memory or of a future of them like going and living off together, right? What if Mikasa did say that she loved Eren? What if there was an alternate reality where they could just go away, escape, let everybody die, and just live their own happy life? She didn't know what was happening. Eren was just, he had his hair cut, he cared about him. Mikasa was beautiful, like everything was so happy. Eren was chopping wood. They lived together, they were happy, they didn't care about anything. And Eren ends up asking her to, with the 4 years that he has left, when he's gone, he wants her to forget about him, live a long, free, happy life. She's then brought back to reality. She's then comfortable. She has the scarf, right? Jumping off of Falco's back, Levi then has this really amazing final moment where he uses the Thunder Spear to destroy Eren's mouth, leaving Mikasa room to go in. She says that she tightens her scarf. She is ready to go. She gets into the mouth. And I love the way that they did this, by the way. The way that she bounced off everything, going around, and Eren looked like the final boss of a video game after his teeth has been destroyed, right? And just the way that she's so smooth and methodical with the way that she kind of goes through all the debris. She's determined. She's ready to do what she needs to do. She goes in to the mouth, sees Eren, and what is beautiful to me, what is absolutely beautiful, is Eren had his eyes closed the entire time. He didn't want to see anything. He opens his eyes to see Mikasa. And the thing that I didn't know about until, again, I watched all of these like video essays, the foreshadow things about Attack on Titan, is I didn't notice it when I was watching it. Mikasa was made to look so pretty, so beautiful when she was in the mouth ready to cut his head off. The reflection off of Aaron's eyes, because that's how Aaron views her. Crazy to me. And he looks up, he smiles, he's ready to go. Mikasa then cuts his head off. And I had no idea what to think at that moment, dude. I had no idea what to think. I was like, everybody, everything led up to this. Mikasa finally was the one to cut his head off. We then are brought back to a bunch of crazy things. So what this leads to is Ymir being freed from the past and allowing her to pass on. Mikasa was the reason because she loved King Fritz. I believe it was Fritz. I apologize if I'm pronouncing that name wrong. Regardless, the whole point was her being in love, and seeing Mikasa overcome that love and kill Eren allowed her to be free as well. So that centipede-like organism responsible for all of the Titans' power vanishes, and the Titans, they turn back into humans. Everybody has this big happy moment. Armin, and here's where this, like, it's crazy because I believe this was like a whole chapter in itself, right? Armin remembers the memories that have been wiped, and that's really the only one that we're brought to because everybody then remembers memories of conversations when Eren ended up reaching out to them. And this is tough because Eren then revealed to him the true motive of the rumbling, and it was a couple things. It was to ensure his friend's statuses. They were elevated to the point where they became, and I believe he described it as the saviors of humanity. They were the ones that take down the big bad Titans, right? And the rest of the world viewed them like that. Along with that, and more importantly, Eren's friends and family and people could live long, free, happy lives because, again, their statuses have been uplifted now. Nobody will ever bother them, and free of Titans. He wanted them all to live. And then it gets even worse because Eren ended up telling Armin that he murdered 80% of life. And he didn't want to die, but there was no other option. It is also revealed that he loved Mikasa. That was an entirely crazy thing because Armin got so mad at him for killing 80% of life. It was revealed how Eren kind of seized time all at once, and there was nothing you could do. You had this like big Doctor Strange type moment where this was the best option out of everything, and Eren decided to go with what would make his friends happy. And what's interesting to me is this is kind of like, it's so good, right, when conversations get sparked about the finale. Conversations get sparked about the motives of somebody because it's respectable at the end of the day, but it's not. It's an unforgivable act that Eren did, right? It's like literally. But at the end of the day, who wouldn't do something like that? I shouldn't put it that way. It's like the things that people go through for love, right? He did this for Mikasa and Armin. He loved them. He wants them to live. He was willing to go to hell for it, right? So it's respectable, but it isn't. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's completely unforgivable. I would never kill 80% of people to, like, here's the problem, because if it was my wife dying, I love her to the end of time. I would do anything for her, but if you asked me to go wipe out 80% of the world, I couldn't. It's not like it's my hand killing her. You know what I mean? But to save her, like, maybe I would. I don't know. That's the thing, right? I would do anything. Like I always say, like, I would stand up to an army to defend my wife, right? Obviously, I would lose that, but I'd be here doing it. But it'd be different where it's like, hey, your wife is going to die, but let's go choke this random guy who doesn't deserve it. You know, that's kind of the problem with it, except it just make that 80% of life. And Eren breaks down. He's sad. He doesn't want to die. And like he said, he loves Mikasa. And what actually the only part of Attack on Titan that kind of took me out of it was Armin going like, well, I know somebody that she's already pretty close to, right? I don't know. It just kind of took me out of the moment for a second. But then Eren looks up, starts breaking down, and then he says something like, I want her to never forget me, and even if she does, it should take her at least a decade. So Eren ended up going about everybody, and that's where the controversy comes in because nobody had a happy ending, right? Well, it depends how you look at it. Eren certainly never had a happy ending. But then we are also revealed to probably one of the biggest plot twists of all time, and Eren was the one who sent the Smiling Titan after his mother. That blew my mind because without that, Eren would not have the motivation to go do what he had to do. The Smiling Titan, it wasn't time for Bertolt to die yet. He had to send the Smiling Titan over to his mother. This show, man. This show. It just revealed, like, it just keeps like inverting your expectations no matter where you go, right? So after that entire thing, after that entire conversation they had, Armin then assures Eren, and he ends up telling him that he'll, like, if there is a hell, they will all go together, right? Armin was the one who put the stupid idea into his head that there's life outside, or freedom outside the sea, right? So Armin is responsible for a lot of death too. So Armin reassures Eren. They end up hugging, and it's this weirdly beautiful moment because they're essentially two killers hugging each other, but they didn't want to do what they did. And they're like, I will see you in hell. We will suffer eternally together, which, again, was oddly beautiful, right? Very, very oddly beautiful, right? So Armin said that he'll live his long life and he will eventually join Eren in hell, if it does exist. But it is then revealed to us, like I mentioned earlier, that all of Eren's friends ended up getting personal messages reserved for him after his death, because after Eren died, all of the memories will come back to him, right? And I think it was Peak the only one where she was like, oh, I'm feeling kind of left out. I never got a conversation, but like she never really did, right? But then we have this other beautiful moment in the song. Like, I can make a whole video talking about the music of Attack on Titan. The song choices they had there was beautiful. So everybody gets reunited, and Levi, for the first time, he's sitting there, busted and broken. I think how they do the hand thing, I have to move my microphone. It's kind of like this. Whatever they do it, right? And he sees all of his fallen soldiers. He sees Hanj. He sees the commander, right? He sees everybody that passed away, and he's like, this is what you died for. This is what we did. He ends up doing the thing, and Levi cries. We see Levi cry. And there's other people watching. I'm like, oh my God, that's crazy. So that Levi thing was a beautiful moment with the music playing. Reiner's reunited with his mother. He's like, I'm not the armored titan anymore. And his mom welcomes him. Gabby and Falco end up coming together. They're like, everybody comes together and everybody has this really, really nice moment together, which is amazing, right? It's absolutely amazing. And this is where I mentioned it earlier, but Mikasa then says goodbye to Ymir, who is now free from the paths, right? And after that, she's holding Eren's decapitated head. And again, it's so odd that something like that is so beautiful, right? And Armin, she calls out Armin's name. Armin starts screaming, crying again. Like, man, somebody needs to give Armin's voice actor an award, whoever that is. The emotions that came out of that man, oh my God. They're both coming in, and I forgot to mention that Mikasa kissed Eren. Oh my God. They finally shared a kiss. I forgot to mention that completely, but either way, they're both hugging Eren's head in this horrible, horrible, beautiful moment. And Mikasa then leaves to lay Eren to rest in Parody before the rest of the survivors are able to deny him a proper burial. I mean, understandably so. And they have this conversation about where to bury Eren. And Mikasa comes up with the idea of burying him under the tree that he was always laying under, which again, amazing. Amazing. And Armin's just like, that's a really, really good idea. And the series kind of has a little bit of an end there, but we're tying up a couple loose ends. So 3 years later, or 4 years later, I don't remember what exactly it was, but the military is still intact. The scouts are world peacekeepers, but and I might be pronouncing this wrong, wherever their home was in Shinganshina. Again, apologies, my anime terms are not really good. Mikasa we're just treated to Mikasa sitting by Eren's grave beneath a tree. She then remembers how she would find Eren there napping in this kind of like, you can kind of see what she's daydreaming, but she's still there. And they had a flashback to when they were kids. Eren was sleeping there. Mikasa comes and finds him, and she just begins to cry, wanting to see him again. It's clear that she spent all of time just wishing and loving Eren, standing by his grave, right? Then a bird flies down, the bird that's been foreshadowed, wraps Mikasa's scarf around her and kind of enlightens her, and she ends up thanking Eren. The bird was so clearly Eren, just lifts the scarf, tightens it, and she watches it fly, happy crying, right? She's sitting here, and she thanks Eren. And the series kind of comes to an end. Well, it does come to an end. And I wanted to like bawl my own eyes out when that happened, right? Mikasa giving her eternal love to Eren, as she always has, right? But then, here's where more controversy comes in, because while the end credits are happening, time goes on. War starts again. Civilizations get built. Everything just repeats itself. The cycle of violence continues. Future technologies grow, right? We see the tree growing and growing and growing. And the series officially ends with a boy and his dog finding the tree, going in there, and it is suggested to us that the cycle of the Titans is just going to happen again. I thought this was beautiful. I thought this was beautiful storytelling, beautiful writing, how humanity will always be itself. They will always fight. But Eren was able to put a pause in all of that. He was able to put a pause into the cycle of the Titans to give his friends, his people, mainly Mikasa, the girl that he loves, and Armin, his best friend, long, free, and fulfilling lives. It wasn't until they were all gone that the Titans and the cycle of the Titans continues. So, that's where it just brings up that entire conversation, was what Eren did a good thing, because there's going to be eternal suffering. Is there ever going to be another type of Eren Yeager? Probably not. Right? And that's why it's beautiful. That's why the storytelling to this is beautiful. I did not expect this to be a happy ending. Yeah, you know what? It'd be great to see Eren run off with Mikasa. They all, hey, you know what? They took down the founding Titan. Eren was just being mind controlled by Ymir. Like, I'd be okay with that too. I'm just saying, like, the way that this story was written was beautiful. The way that Mikasa and Armin got to live long and happy lives was awesome. Eren sacrificed himself. I thought it was beautiful. And after this series came to a close, this officially took over as my favorite show of all time, and I have a very hard time believing that it will be beat. I spent my entire life since I was a kid watching Game of Thrones, and I know, I shouldn't have been a kid watching Game of Thrones, but I was, and that was my favorite show of all time. This surpassed it. There is no better storytelling than Attack on Titan. Whether it's an anime show or a show in general, this was the complete, perfect show in my opinion. And I loved every second of it, and the finale could not have possibly been better. Guys, let me know what you thought about Attack on Titan. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you thought about the entire series in general, but in particular the finale. Thank you so much for listening to me talk about the show that I love. I would love to know why you guys love it, and if there's any parts of it that like got you hyped. What do you think about the ending? I would love to know what you guys think down below. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you were interested though, on the screen right now, I do have some season recaps of Better Call Saul. You should check out one of the videos on screen right here, right now. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. Take care.